Okay, good afternoon. I'll call to order the regular council meeting of Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. Is there any public input as the meeting is open to statements from no more than 5 members of the public of no more than 2 minutes in length? And, any late additions or deletions?
Yes, there is a deletion of item 6.2, the conservation officer delegation at the council, and we'll reschedule after the strike sometime.
Okay, thank you. Will somebody please move that the October 21st, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be adopted as amended? Councillor Weed, Councillor McNary, all in favor? Carried. I'm going to skip over 6.1 because I see our delegation is not here, and we'll come back to that if she comes in. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. Before we move on to the consent agenda, if anyone wishes to remove any of the correspondence items, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, does somebody please want to move the all of the consent agenda? Councillor Flan, Councillor Aiken, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Delegation 6.2, 6.1, Lillooet Area Library Association.
By the seat of my pants, I
Ooh.
thought I was on time, and then just by the seat of my pants, I brought you guys some swag.
We love swag.
This one's for Patty because it doesn't have my card, and she knows where I live. So nice reusable bag. And then just a bunch of information in there, including my card. And our hours and.
No, we're not.
Oh, I'm sorry, staffers.
I don't think there's politics in, yeah, I think that's,
These people are doing their service in a way, that I want to acknowledge.
I'll sell you mine. That's still on camera, I love it, thanks, Jack.
Now that I know you want one.
Don't want
Anyway.
That looks lovely.
So I
Good job.
think you all know me, Toby Mueller, I'm the library director. And, I just want to give a presentation ahead of 2026 budget season and make sure that council's up to date on all of what's happening at the Lillooet Area Library Association. Just a little bit of background. We've been around since 1990. And library service used to be from the Thompson-Nicola Regional District here, but there was no one from our area on their board of trustees. And then they also wanted to close the branches in Shelath and Goldbridge. So people in this area in 1990, they were like, nope, forget it. And they formed a public library association. And that's how we've been working since then. We're funded by the taxpayers of the District of Lillooet and the Squamish-Lillooet Regional Districts A and B. And that municipal funding is about 64% of our core budget. It's important that you know what's happening at your library. One point I wanted to make sure you knew is that historically and going forward, it's always our intention that increases in our budget request every year reflect inflation rate or lower. It's always been that way, and we want to respect the constituents that we're serving. So we just try to keep it at that. You might have heard about provincial funding for libraries. It was a big deal in the news recently. And just, it's really important funding because it does a few things. It funds and enables our interlibrary loan system, which is absolutely fantastic. You can borrow a book from any library in British Columbia. You can return a book to any library in British Columbia and it'll make its way home. Even the university libraries, they're fantastic. Like sometimes they'll send books to students here. And if they can't do that, they'll make photocopies and mail it to our students here. So provincial funding makes that happen. It also does some equalization because like the per capita tax contribution from West Vancouver is not the same as from Lillooet or Grand Isle. So there's provincial money to reflect that and make sure that small libraries can provide the same level of service. Like you can walk into Vancouver Public or you can walk into Lillooet Public and get the same service. So that's really important. And then the final thing is it funds cooperation. Like there's quite a few provincial library organizations. And, you know, we have consortial purchasing for all sorts of stuff, including our licenses, saves us a lot of money. The huge database that keeps track of all of the people and all of the books, that's a provincial project. So we save so much money by cooperating. And, but it's the provincial funding that makes all of that happen. The funding that we get from the people here is just basically goes right back to the people here. It's story time, it's youth night, it's like showing up for community events so that we get the easy free advertising and keep telling people what they can get with their library card. I think libraries are more important now than they have been in a long time. It's a foundational institution for a democratic society. We like enable intellectual freedom. We lower barriers to information. We make sure people can have access to really good information. And you know, some of these return on investment are really easy to quantify. Like you can say, okay, you borrowed this many books from the library and you saved this much money because you didn't buy those books. And we can kind of keep some track of that. But some of the longer term outcomes, like how do you put a dollar value on the many new Canadians who have gone through that office over there and learned English? All the little children who go to story time. And we know that early learning is where the money is. Like Frederick Douglass, it's easier to build strong children than to fix broken men. And libraries are a big part of that sort of equation. I just want to assure you though, like Vancouver Island Regional Library in 2016, they did an actual return on investment study for themselves and public libraries in general. For themselves, the return on investment was 149% or 521%, depending on what you counted and how you counted it. So either way, whatever way you look at it, your tax dollars are doing good things in this community for individuals and the community at large. The provincial funding has been frozen since 2009, so the value of it has been going down. They recognize the effects of that and have given us one-time funding over the past 3 years. And it's been hard to work with because you can't like increase hours or hire new staff when you know that funding's ending. So we've invested it mostly in sort of infrastructure. We did a lot of staff training investment. And then a lot of that money was spent on renovations. All of our branches really got a nice facelift. I encourage you to go downstairs and have a look at the Lillooet branch. It's really beautiful. It's like a proper public space now. It doesn't feel like a church basement anymore. It feels like a library. We also, we invested big in this building, in the rec center, and thus in the Lillooet, the whole community. So we fixed the windows on the north face in the library, which literally on a cold north wind, sand came through that wall. So that doesn't happen anymore. And I'm sure it affected the electricity bill, but there's no way to measure that. So we know that. And then we also paid for the awning on the south facing windows, which enables the air conditioning to work when it's 36 degrees and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Before that, those rooms were unbearable in the hot summer days. So now it's really been a great effect on that. And then we just helped the rec center buy new kitchen equipment. Really excited. It's down there. You could go have a little peek. And it's really, we were approached by the rec center and we said yes because it will enable the library to do a whole bunch of programming that we really want to do. It's really fun to cook with kids. There's really crucial literacy skills that come when you're cooking, and there's all sorts of ideas. And then it's gonna enable all sorts of community groups to do all sorts of new things in that kitchen. It's fabulous. Go have a look. It's an investment in our future. Okay. The last thing, can I have some water? I'm like,
There, but there's no cup.
I'm like, I'm not even nervous. I've just been like talking. Oh, one of the things I did want to, that I forgot, was just let you know who our trustees are. Patty Flynn is the appointee from the District of Lillooet. Vivian Birch Jones is the appointee from the SLRD. And then Bain-Gare is the chair. Paul Boland is the vice chair. Betty Weaver is our treasurer. And Chris Galeazzo and Greg Distracca are all sort of trustees at large. So those are the people who are my boss. Want to talk to them, you can. And that brings me to one of the last things I wanted to let this group know, because I've basically given my 5 to 6 year notice to the library trustees. And we need a good long time. And part of it, it's not easy to fill these positions. Lots of small libraries are having a hard time. So we have a long range succession plan, that's starting now. And one of the reasons I'm putting it out in the community is because this is a great job. And if there's a young person right now who gets the spark, they could go to school and come back and live in this community. It's enough of a position that you can live here and make a really great contribution here. So we're starting to tell people, and I hope that I can continue working for the library in a position of lesser responsibility if I can. But yeah, that's just a really important big thing on the horizon that I feel like council should know about. In your package are the reports from 2024. The financials, our written report. I didn't want to drag you all through that because you can read. And but there's also my card. So please, if you have any concerns, questions, ideas, just get in touch with me anytime. And I'm happy to take questions right now. That's my presentation.
Well, thank you. I think you did a really good presentation, really great. And we all really appreciate all the work that all of you guys do, because it's a fantastic facility, helps a lot of people. And I know at the hospital, I used to send a lot of seniors over and people without computers and, we help a lot of people. So that's really great. Questions?
Not a question, but I just want to say with the renovations, I keep council up to date for all of our meetings there, so I actually made them put on the board the videos of the actual renovations, so and everybody sit
Thank
through all
you,
of
Pat.
that. They said I'm always tooting your horn and the library there as well.
No, thank you.
Yeah, succession planning, we are starting with that. We don't want Toby to leave, but we're working on that there. But no, the programs that Toby's brought in, and I'm trying, and I can't remember the name of taking it from Dolly's World for what
Books kids love.
Yeah.
I put the pamphlet, you all have one of the pamphlets for that. And we have 50 kids signed up now. And it was based on Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, and libraries or other literacy organizations can sign up with her. And then she does huge bulk buys of books, gets them really cheap. And when you sign up a kid, that child gets a book a month in the mail. And we thought, oh, that would be great. Except what we found out was if we did it here, then every 3-year-old would get the same book in the whole town, right? And we were like, So we looked at the math and we just decided to fund it ourselves, so that we could really put the right book in the kids' hands. And, it's 50 kids and Taylor knows a lot of them. So, and she talks to the parent. So it's like, oh, this little guy likes trains. He gets a train book and that kind of thing. So it's personalized. And then also there's way more variety And these books end up in the red book boxes and stuff like that. So it's just making more variety available to the kids in town. Yeah, and we do buy in bulk and get some really good deals, so. And we also have the privilege of a book rate for the post. And, so that makes it feasible, and the kids just love it, like getting something in the mail is really fun for kids, makes reading special.
I just want to thank you for all the work you do, and as well as the directors and the staff. So many people in the community know how much the library association does. And, yeah, I'm learning all the time. You coming here, it's great.
Thank you. Keep spreading the word.
Okay, well,
Did you?
Oh, sorry, through the mayor. I just want to thank you, Toby. I think, again, I know the relationship the rec center and us and you guys have, but I think at times of the year like this, it is really important to recognise all of the work that you do, not just, and I think people kind of just think it's, we collaborate on the odd thing, but even to do with the security of the building, how to access the building and the video cameras and all of these other things in the collaboration, it's a real partnership. It's a partnership that is working well, and it's a partnership that has catalyzed the changes that we're now seeing in the rec centre. So we're starting to see significant change here. Swims, we're starting to see significant change here in the building, the look of the building, the use of the building, and albeit a lot of the credit goes to the staff that's doing all the hard work, to Mike, to Andrea, to Paolo, to Brittany, to all of the staff that are involved in the hard work inside this building. But there is a large part of that that's got to be put back on the library, and a special thanks given to you, because a lot of libraries would not invest in kitchen staff or in kitchen stuff. A lot of staff would not. A lot of libraries would be, "Nah, we're not going to invest in that," but you guys are. And a lot of kind of recreation halls wouldn't allow libraries to move into their ice rink for 2 months. But that's a real partnership.
Yeah.
That's properly give and take, and I do feel like we've got more from you than you've given. Other way around, I think I definitely think we've received a lot, and I think that's a special thanks to you. And you've been a huge part here, and the catalyst and the success of what's coming now has been your continued support and leadership. So thanks.
Thank you very much, Joe. I appreciate that, and I do want to say to all of you that it is a great pleasure to work with your staff here at the rec center. They're all fantastic, and I deeply appreciate them all back. So I'll let you get on with all your important work, and
well, thank you so much.
Thank
again.
you, and-
An excellent presentation. Thank you for this flag. Thank you for.
and just
Thanks for
don't
covering
hesitate to
it.
give me a call if you have anything else. I will take this. No one else wants it. Good night.
Okay, good night. Okay, we'll move on to 9.1. Temporary road closure application of Eagleson Christie. Hello.
Hello, good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor. Just like to bring forward staff recommendation that council pass a temporary road closure on Eagleson Crescent for Halloween night between the hours of 5 and 8. It was brought forward from a resident of Eagleson concerning child safety on Halloween in Eagleson. As many of you know, it's a pretty narrow crescent, Eagleson. Lots and lots of children there on Halloween, and some parents, rather than get out and walk with the kids, tend to drive behind them through the area. So it's been brought forward that we pass this temporary road closure. They will have someone man the barricades at the top. They've got signatures from over half the residents in Eagleson in support of this. And yeah, they would allow residents in and out to their homes, and fire and any emergency vehicles as well. And just close it off to the general public. And then as a part of this, we're bringing forward a policy, I guess, that has been brought to council before, but never adopted. Asking that both get clear at this time.
Okay. Questions? Counselor Aiken, and then Counselor.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Right?
Yep.
Just in the policy itself there, there's something about liability insurance that, I don't know if that's gonna apply in this case there. As well as, what else is that we need with? Under special events, it said by a recognized organization, which I don't think that falls under this policy.
This one stuff.
My last one is just,
Okay, let's, just give me 2 seconds here. Special events, temporary. Second, man, that's.
Yeah, want to continue on?
yeah, just the last question is the parking, where people are gonna park, like I can see them all lining up along the road getting to Eagleson, which.
Yeah, but so, I mean, I can speak to that because I live right above Eagleson. So, I mean, already people park all along Columbia Street, but we could talk it over, recommend and put out announcement that, you know, they can park at your school. I don't know if that's gonna be allowed. Not. There's a large parking area right there.
Yeah.
And people can park and then have access down Columbia, Eagleson, all the residents.
That's all it does.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. Liability insurance would stand just as it is just now. Any of our municipalities, or any of the municipal roads would have the same type of insurance, so it wouldn't change any of our liability for what we're doing. They're not a recognised group, but certainly appreciate the fact that they're trying to do something with it. And you know, this is a good opportunity for us to do two things in the same. One, the policy was brought forward previously to council but never formally adopted. It's one of these policies that kind of worked its way through but never got finalised for whatever happened years gone old. But we certainly understand the intent of the policy and what it was brought forward for. And for the first event and for things that get brought forward to council, if we're going to do a road closure, the idea behind it, or what the reading is behind it, is that if there is anything specific, we bring it back for council for this kind of deliberation and discussion. I certainly think it meets the intent. I think it meets what we're trying to do down there. I'm pretty sure all the RCMP officers will, because they all live in that street.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're going to. There will be some potential conflicts. Like if I lived in Eagleson Crescent, my wife was coming to visit me, how would she get in there? You know, there's going to have to be a pilot person walk in with that car. I think the intent is just to try and make sure that during the Halloween project, or during the Halloween process, and people are in and out of it, we're seeing increased people in cars just following behind the kids. And that's now becoming the norm. And I don't know if they're just letting the kids fill up the trucks with all the candy, and if it goes into just a particularly great area for all the kind of candy to be in, but the risk is there. You know, the risk is definitely there for children. And I think it meets the intent for what we want to try and do with them.
And, if we're fine, I'm going to complain here.
I think it's a wonderful idea because seriously, the amount of children that go through there is obscene. It's ridiculous. And I can see if us going forward, we'll probably get another area in town asking for it for next year as well. But a couple of questions I had, Councillor Aiken touched on a couple of them. In the general here, it says back on the insurance, it says 2 million is required for the application. So does that mean that the residents of Eagleson Crescent have to get $2 million insurance for the night?
No, through the mayor, it's a temporary road closure, so the idea and intent would be that there shouldn't be cars inside it. We're not closing all the cars. What we're doing is we're stopping cars driving through as normal.
No.
So if there is vehicles still moving around it, it's just as a normal kind of road would be. So the community down there are just essentially policing the closure of the road. It's the physical closure of the road that we're bringing back to council. It's not going to be any sort of separate. They're not having a block party, for example, and putting on a special event like a hockey tournament. That would then hold its own insurance. But for this one, it's really just kind of a tamed down road use. That's why I wanted to bring it back.
Okay, yeah, no, my reading of it was that the people who are us who put the application in have to have $2 million insurance to cover themselves, but that's fine. My other thing is, we're saying that the entrance of Eagleson is going to be blocked off. Now, who is going to do that? Is that going to be the residents? Or is that going to be the district? Does that mean we're going to have people for overtime? And then basically you're opening and closing a road. And I know I'm thinking too much here. Does that person have to have a flagging ticket or something like that to be able to do all of this? Like, I'm just thinking of insurance and liability and who's doing all of these things.
As far as the insurance, I don't know. That's something I'll have to look into, but, the district would be supplying the barricades and high vis vest and flashlight to resident who would be manning the gates itself. So there'd be no overtime for district staff. They not even drop off the material. They would erect it and use it for the 3 hours that it's closed, 5 days.
I'm totally for it, but
So McNary,
They kind of touched on one of my questions for sure right there on that. And I'm just wondering, has there been a problem down there with kids getting hurt or anything so far?
Not that I'm aware of, as far as, injuries, but, you know, could be just a matter of time. There is a lot of children, like we see, I don't know how many kids we get, upwards of 200 kids at our place there, in the evening, like we run out of candy well before the kids stop coming through. And given the hours of the closure, the 5 to 8, they're focused mostly on the younger kids, right? I mean, the older kids will be out after 8 and they can they know better to look both ways. But when kids excited, zigzagging across the road, house to house, not paying attention to traffic and things like that. So, I think the intent is mostly for small children.
How's your windows when you're running at candy?
Pretty good. We're high enough up. They can't hit the street.
down in VLA, I used to buy for 250 kids. I think it's crazy. I can see VLA asking for that.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
probably gonna
like,
be the next.
you know, Flirts and that kind of thing. I think it's a great idea too. So just to confirm, though, this is a 1-year thing and it's not ongoing and they would have to ask again for next year based on all this year goes to, correct?
Yeah, technically, through the mayor, technically, no, if we can approve it this year, we can allow it to happen next year in that area. That's what this kind of part of this process is for. Do I think that they'll probably bring it back next year and request it? They'll probably do the same thing again, because there's finite tweaks to it. So sometimes there's little parts to it that do it. I know in Salmon Arm, we used to have road closures and it started off with the community group doing it and then it started just getting a little bit bigger. And then what ended up happening is people ended up with flagging jackets and phones, and then RCMP were there, and then when RCMP were there, they would actually escort people in. There was people with disabilities. There was lots of different nuances around this that I think we're just going to have to try and develop it. The other option is we don't do it at all, and then there's cars driving around it constantly, which I think is a far greater risk. So I think that this is a really good opportunity for community engagement to look at it and say, we want to make this recognised area a little bit safer. I think we can discuss that with the group and say, okay, here's a couple of wands. Maybe we'll get the fire department out there with a couple of wands. If somebody comes in, they use them as a pilot person to walk down and bring them up and bring them back. And there's lots of good community things to get out of this. And I think that it's, you know, it's not something that we're going to be spending money on. And I think it increases safety and community impact. So I think it's an overall good thing.
Any more questions? Councilor Reid?
Through the mayor, I'm a little concerned, just, I mean, I think it's a great idea, yeah, there's a few great ideas that I wish were coming down the pipes. I'm a little more concerned about a backlog on Columbia, because it's already congested on Columbia as far as parking. And a lot of people just drop their kids off at the corner and then pick them up at the men's corner. So if they're parked over at the school, how are they gonna know those kids are done on that street and not gone off somewhere else? Do you know what I mean? I'm just kind of, well, that's fine if there's two of you, but I mean, there's single parents in town and whatever. I'm just thinking, like, if they were dropping them off at corner A and going to let them go through, you know, with their friends or whatever, and then picking them up at corner B, there's not really a lot of parking along there. I understand parking at the school or at the high school or whatever, if there's some kind of communication going on, but have we thought about that? Like a little section there where people can kind of for the kids?
Yeah, and, I mean, I know there's no official parking along Columbia,
Yeah.
but I mean, for residents up there, it does happen every year. The people just park along Columbia to begin with. So the parking's already happening
Yeah.
on Columbia. This is just, doesn't allow them access to Eagleson. They can park and wait for the kids at the top of the road, along Columbia. Better yet, park at one of the schools and walk with the kids.
Like, I think it's a great idea. I'm not against it for sure. I just kind of a little concerned there if I lived on Columbia.
Councilor McNary?
I think it's a very good idea because the worst nightmare a guy could have is be running over something.
That's
Sure.
the bottom line.
Yeah.
Whether you're gonna walk with your kids or you're sending them off, hoping they're gonna be good. That's the way it goes. It's better than running over a kid.
Councilor Mike?
Through the mayor, I think everybody's touched on some really important kind of points here. And on the policy here, we were just saying that once they apply, then they wouldn't possibly have to do it the next year. I'm wondering if we can actually ask for them to reapply next year so we can get a feedback as to how the night went with answering questions as to people feedback as to what congestion was like or this, that, and the other before just automatically rolling it over again for next year. Just because we've touched on a whole bunch of questions that we're not gonna know answers to until after the event. But I'm all for it. I think it's a wonderful idea and I can see it moving down to VLA for next year or something like that, but just to get feedback.
Another question, are we going to advertise this somehow so that people know ahead of time that it's going to be closed? You can park here, park there,
Yeah,
or
Mayor.
supervise your children?
Yeah, we'll put out a notice in the paper, prior to Halloween, so whatever, I'm not sure what day the paper will come out previous to Halloween, but we'll put a notice out in the paper saying that this is what's happening. These are some recommended spots to park. And then to your question, I don't think they will have to reapply. It's my understanding that they will have to reapply. We just don't need to bring it to council as the policy is. They just, the first time it comes to council for approval, next year they still have to apply for it. And then I think Public Works, we can just go through it after it's come through you guys for the first initial one. But I mean, that's always something when if they do apply for it again, we can always ask them to be back on previous year.
Yeah, I'd like to hear how it worked for them or what would be tweaked or.
Councilor?
Just one last thing, I think the high school, they have a gate that they shut at night, and we're reaching up to them to make sure that they leave it open if you want the people to park down there.
Through the mayor, just with my other hat, I do know, especially with Halloween and stuff with the schools, you get the older children in there, and then there's problems with fireworks and broken bottles and everything else like that. So that's sort of reasons why the gates are locked at the schools there, so. Yeah.
There's lots of parking
Um,
around the turnaround
Mhm.
there. I mean, there's
Yeah.
places to park and park them on. Councilor McNary?
Thinking when I'm back when I was a kid and whatnot, are the firemen taking part in our Halloween, program again?
I know that, no, off. I can certainly reach out. That'd be-
They used to put a bunch of guys together, to try to patrol.
Yeah, we, but, I mean, I think this is like the opportunity to kind of do more. And there's two parts to this. There's the road closure request from the group, and then there's the policy side. I appreciate the ideas in the policy, and I think we could probably look at including some of those in it as well. I think this is the start of seeing sense of community back in as well. And we used to do, this is going to sound terrible, but like an old fire barrel at the beginning of each of the streets that were doing really good kind of things. And then some of the streets that we used to work with used to have themes, like specific themes. So you would have almost like an older kid street, so to say, and then for some of the kind of the smaller kids and stuff. So I think this is a great opportunity for other streets to look at this and really start seeing how to do that, you know, and it'll expand. So will the fire department be involved in it this year? I don't want to commit them to it right now, just typically because if they're there and they're on scene and they're involved and they need to leave, they need to get out quick. So they might be involved, but I can speak to Corey and see what the team are up to that night. For the
Okay.
lunch and others.
Councillor Glenn.
Well, just talking, Mr. McCulloch, about community. Years ago, when my kids were small, the rec center was the place for it. They had a,
Haunted house and
they had a bonfire on the grass there. They did a big haunted house all through the pool and through the other areas. They had a dance, they had a Halloween costume, contest
contest, yeah.
there. Yeah, they would get everybody to bring their pumpkins and the pumpkins would be lined up and down the footpath there. And then everybody was here for the fireworks. It was a huge thing. And I know when it was discontinued, there were lots of people who were actually kind of upset because they preferred to come here and they had candy and everything instead of taking their kids around. So something to look at too for doing with the rec centers, maybe looking into slowly bringing something like that back as well.
We could put you in charge of that.
No, John,
Can I have a second? Can I second?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was second.
Go ahead. Oh, you were.
Seconding the motion.
Great idea.
Small.
Joe's hand went up pretty much when I said that.
I don't think that's
Something to
to
do.
volunteer.
No,
It was
it's
just
not
something to share. I just volunteered you.
Oh, okay with that. Thank you. That's all. There's two things. There's two things. Firstly, council aren't aware, or if the public aren't aware, there is a fireworks donation happening just now. For the fireworks display. You can donate as an individual or you can donate as a family, which I think is a fantastic opportunity to do. Please come down and donate for that. And then below that, there is between 4 and 8 this year, back at the Rex, a Halloween spooky costume pumpkin contest, games, spooky movies, and more between 4 and 8. So we
Wow, good job.
almost as if we thought that would be a good idea.
Just leave the haunted house.
We'd love to get back involved in these things, but these are the kind of things that we're starting off and we're just building on it. And Public Works and the Fire Department will be assisting this year for fireworks as well, which is absolutely
Is
fantastic.
that Spookapalooza? Is that what that says?
Yeah.
Spookapalooza.
I take no part in the creativity.
Did you?
No, but I take no part in anything that's coming out of the rec centre just now. I think they're doing a fantastic job. But I'll touch on that in the CEO report later on.
You're not gonna stand there and get in the dunk tank or anything?
If there's a dunk tank, I'll do it.
I will not. Okay. Any further questions? Okay, good job.
Thank you.
Will somebody please move that the temporary road closure permit for Eagleson Crescent be approved for October 31st, 2025 from 5 to 8 p.m. and that the proposed temporary road closure permit policy be adopted. Councillor Weed, Councillor Khan, all in favor, carried.
Thanks, President.
Okay, 9.2, 2026 council meeting dates and acting mayor designations.
I love it.
Get up for this, but, good evening. This is more just an opportunity for council to discuss what the 2026 council meeting schedule might look like. I've got a proposed one on page
31.
31. And yeah, so we're kind of, the proposal that I got forward kind of keeps the one meeting a month in the months of January, December, July, and August. The mayor requested maybe just having one in September because there's UBCM and I think an SLRD conference or something, so September is kind of busy. And then in October, there's also just one proposed because the election is October the 17th. So it's kind of, I don't think it's even possible to fit 2 meetings in before that election. And then the inaugural meeting for the new council group will, supposed to be within the first 10 days of just November. So I suggested the 3rd. But this is all, it can be, you can add meeting suggestions if you want to change the day of the week or, you know, it can be all up in the air, but, so it's kind of more for you to discuss, but this is what's kind of proposed as a baseline. And there's also the 2026 acting mayor designations proposed schedule for your consideration.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions? Comments?
I had the schedule last year.
What's that?
Was the matter with the schedule last year?
Well, the dates changed.
Days of the week change.
The week change, dates change. We get a new one every year. Yes, and then there was a September one, and then was the election in October. Yeah. And then November's a little bit different too.
So we're done then.
Yes. Over
Sixth,
basically October,
Quite 4 years.
yeah. But 4 years. And then there's the acting mayor designations. Yeah, Mark, it's like a month and 2 days.
Not even, we've done it for the sixth.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So it's a sort of version. So what do you guys think? Is it okay? Can we move forward with it or? That's what I can.
You're the mayor, I want to switch it.
Can't do it. Have a second, I don't think anybody's gonna second it here.
if you're gonna leave it the way it is,
Well, would you like to change something? Is there,
I'd like to get out of September.
well. If there's, if it comes up and I'm not here in September and I need you to be here and you're not here, then it will just go to somebody else.
Okay, I'm
Like-
fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the way anyways. Counselor Klein? If you're not here, then the same thing.
No, I just want to say that I don't have any problems with that. We're actually just short one meeting compared to what we do for the regular, we normally have 18, it's, or 19, it's going to be 18. And I'm liking how we're doing the, continuing it on the first and third Tuesday.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just keeping
Yeah.
the continuity.
yeah, the, and the September one, it fell. Take the second one fell, it was, right after UBCM, so we would have, had the next one plus, authority, it was just too much. So, yeah, for a short one. And if there's any meetings that we want to put in as per normal in the financial, months, then we will just have them in. Okay. So with that, if nobody else has any questions or comments, will somebody please move that the 2026 council meeting schedule be adopted? Councilor Reed, Councilor McNary, all in favor? Carried. Skip over to 11.1, permissive tax exemption bylaw 2025-030. I think we're just moving for adoption. Okay. So does anybody have any final questions or comments for staff? No, saying none? Okay, will somebody please move that the permissive tax exemption bylaw number 2025-030 be adopted? Councilor Aiken, Councilor McNary, all in favor? Carried. Okay, any unfinished business or notice of motions? Okay, I'm gonna try and make this short, but. So I just want to share that Cora Simone reached out to me. She is now putting our council meetings on the radio. So when we spoke, she shared that she would love to feature more of Lillooet activities, events and public notices like water shutoffs and other important updates to help keep the community informed. So using the radio is another source of communication. I thought it was a great idea. And so I guess the last two have been on the radio. So she's going to continue to put them on the radio. You can contact her at Radio Lillooet, chls@gmail.com or tune into channel 100.5. So at the last council meeting, I did a report and I skipped the 4 questions that I asked Josie Osborne and she gave me some real detailed answers, but so I streamline them all into just short answers, which are still long. One of the first questions we asked her was emergency room closures and update on immediate steps the ministry is taking to prevent further ER closures in rural communities. So these 4 questions were for the entire province. It wasn't just directed at Lillooet, it was for the entire province. And again, tops of the waves here. So she said that they were doing local, regional, provincial recruitment initiatives, including the US recruitment campaign. They streamlined credentialing and licensing for physicians, nurses, and allied health professionals trained in other provinces and countries, expansion of the UBC Medical School and establishment of the new SFU Medical School, increased nursing and allied health professional training seats, expansion of Go Health BC to strengthen temporary and rural staffing supports, and new models of care being implemented to provide relief for in-community physicians and staff, such as virtual emergency physician support, which is what we have here starting. The second question we asked her was physician and nurse recruitment. How is the province addressing the shortage of healthcare professionals in smaller centers? She said the province is leaning heavily in 3 key areas: retention, recruitment, and training. They are expanding the number of training seats for nurses, nurse practitioners, physicians, and allied health professionals across BC. There's strong focus on retention, supporting existing staff through new payment models, improving working conditions, team-based care environments, minimum nurse to patient ratios, and better access to professional development and mental health supports. Third question was retention strategies. What measures are being considered to ensure physicians and nurses remain in rural communities long-term? She said, in addition to retention, recruitment, and training, investments in new and expanded hospitals, healthcare facilities, and diagnostic imaging equipment. So, for example, new hospitals in Terrace, Fort St. James, and Dawson Creek are important not only for delivering the best possible care, but also can significantly help recruitment of professionals who value the opportunity to work in state-of-the-art facilities. They're introducing new models of care and technologies such as virtual services, and also proving to be an important tool to support healthcare workers in smaller centers. The province is really leaning towards merit councils to form groups like we have in Lillooet with recruitment and retention programs that we've started. The 4th question was initiative or innovative solutions. Is the ministry exploring alternative care such as nurse practitioners covering triage 3, 4, and 5 levels? Her answer was yes, the ministry is actively exploring innovative ways to stabilize emergency care in rural and remote communities, including deploying nurse practitioners into high-need emergency departments. So nurse practitioners are already working successfully in several urban emergency departments, and building on these successes, the province is working with the Emergency Care BC Health Improvement Network to develop an approach that ensures nurse practitioners working in rural EDs have the necessary core competencies, training, and supports to succeed. And we have 2 nurse practitioners here now and 1 more in training. So careful planning with regional health authorities is also essential. So, I think that the health authorities, the municipalities, and the BC provinces doing their best to really work together. So that was the answer to the 4 questions. It was just a continuation on, but last meeting was so long. I just wanted to skip this out. So that is it for me. Councillor Aiken.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can you share that information to us?
I can. There's a lot more to it, but I'll share the whole thing with you. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's been a pretty quiet couple of weeks for me. I've just been fielding questions from citizens about roads and all kinds of random things there, but no official service.
Councillor Fine.
Not too much for me. Did the Great British Columbia Shakeout earthquake drill back on October 16th. Yeah, drop cover, hold on. It's actually kind of good because we're so aware in Lillooet of forest fires and everything else that we kind of forget about some of the other emergencies there. So it's kind of a good one to kind of do once a year, but that's pretty much it.
Councillor McNary.
I was at a TNRG meeting. I don't know if I reported the last time or not. And They went over their whole thing again. And they seem to be, I've been there for 3 years now. And they seem to be repeating themselves all the time through the healthcare system. Yeah, all the time. They've been fixing the nurses, intercom or whatever they got there for 3 years. The same thing over and over. And it's driving me crazy. Like, how do you get that out of the system? Like, and then they're talking about the elevators being fixed. They don't even know the elevators are already fixed. And it just goes on and on and on like that. Like, I don't know, the TNRD, I mean, they mean well. But I don't think we're getting the proper reporting from our interior health. And Josie Osborne, there, one of your reports, they say they're doing all their stuff in Fort St. John and Dawson Creek. Well, I was just up there for a couple of weeks and whatnot. And of course, you get to talking about this kind of stuff. They can't even have a baby in Fort St. John or Dawson Creek right now. They're going to Prince George. Like, you know, who's writing this stuff for her? Where does the truth begin and the politics end? Like, that's a problem I have with it all. And boy, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know whether I need to get more vocal there or what, but.
I can't imagine what that would be like. But I do know that Interior Health reached out to me yesterday and asked me to say a quote on what I thought about the new virtual model of one doctor looking after 4 ERs. So the Nakusp, Clearwater, Lillooet, and
On the phone.
Princeton, yes, thank you. Those 4. So what's gonna happen is, and remember, they were here last time, and those 4 hospitals, like including ours, are gonna have a doctor that's like a virtual doctor from 7 o'clock at night till 8 o'clock in the morning. But if it's, and that's for a triage 3, 4, 5. But if it's a triage 1 or 2, serious emergency, then there's gonna be a doctor on call in every one of those communities, and they're gonna reach out. So Interior Health said, you know, as a mayor, would you make this quote saying, you know, that, you know, it's a great idea, blah, blah, blah. So I said, no, I respectfully decline, because I'd like to see how, like, let's see how this works out. So let's give it 3 to 6 months, and then as a mayor, I will make an accurate statement of how it's working out for our community. But you know, so I think that's part of it is, you know, when they get ahead of these ideas and they make a presumption of what they think is gonna happen, that it's a great idea. Really, for me, I have to see how something works, and I'm willing to try it. Let's try it. Let's see how it works. If it works great, then that's great. I mean, they're not doing this particular model anywhere in BC. They're doing it over in Ontario, but they're not doing it anywhere else. So if we're one of the 4 hospitals, then I'm willing to say, okay, well, let's see how it works. But I'm not willing to say, it's a great idea and we should do this and blah, 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 because I don't know if that's a great idea. I don't. 1 doctor for 4 hospitals. I don't know what that looks like.
And it's on the phone.
And it's on the phone, it's virtual, so,
Yeah.
you know.
Each hospital
But-
gets a turn at it.
Right, and that's not to say that this isn't a cost of saving program for the province. You've got 1 doctor for 4 hospitals during the night shift. That's cost efficient there. So will it work? I don't know.
Give them a little.
So getting back to yours, I mean, what they're saying, if, you know, they need to talk to the people on the ground before they're making statements like something like, is it working or it's not working? You know, talk to the people that's using it. Is it working? I don't know.
No.
That's who should be making the statements, in my opinion. So I totally get it.
They keep changing the guy that's giving the thing too, eh? Like,
Mhm.
I think if they don't like what the old person was doing, they just chip them out and get somebody in there that'll say what they wanna say.
But I have my like I put my faith in Josie Osborne. I think she's a great minister and I've seen her, I've talked to her and I see what she's doing. I mean, and she's trying. She's trying to say, okay, let's do this. It's cost efficient for us. Your ERs, they're not closing. They're opening, they're here. So, you know, I'm sure I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt.
Something to give a try.
Something to give a try because it wasn't working before. So let's see what she's got. I have to have a little faith. That's me.
No problem with that faith thing.
Councilor Reed?
Well, probably the money that they're saving by having one doctor on 4 hospitals. I visited our ER. Everything went fine. I have had 2 half-hour surveys about how things went in the ER between the nurses and the doctors and the care and like, I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what this person on the phone is getting paid, but there's an hour wasted out of my time. And yes, I could have opted out of it. I get that, but I wanted to know what they were going to ask me about my care and attendance of the ER in Lillooet. And yeah, it just, like I say, I know the meet and greet at the door there with masks and whatnot, what that was costing. And so I'm kind of going, okay, somewhere people are doing things that really don't, I don't know, but I will skip over that. I had a wonderful weekend. I was invited by our Legion to go to their zone meeting in Merritt. Because as past president, I knew people and the people that were going hadn't been there before. So I'm not going to get into anything that happened in Merritt. What happens in Merritt stays in Merritt. But we will say that Lillooet Legion is back on the map. And they are having the spring zones right here in Lillooet.
What?
Spring zone meetings, which brings all the, hopefully, people from all the legions in this zone. So I was also asked while I was down there, and I have no idea why they picked me, to do an auction of this very special prize. And I ended up getting $75 out of Kamloops Legion for a box of pancake mix and some syrup and a silver bowl. So I'll probably be asked to do that again.
You cooking pancakes?
No, I'm not cooking pancakes. It's a mystery gift in a bag and it felt really, really heavy. So I mean, it started at $5 and I got them up to 75. I thought I did pretty darn good.
And you bought it for 75?
No, Kamloops
Oh,
Legion president bought it for $75. So who knows?
No,
But yes, that's all I have to report. Oh, I should say though, our Legion is, they've done a lot of rentals over there if you haven't been. And they're having their Friday night meat drills every Friday now, and they will have the Blue Jays game on. For anybody who's concerned about the Blue Jays on Friday night, they will have it on screen and yeah, they're doing a fantastic job. They've got all kinds of new events coming up. Sounds exciting. I'm always looking forward to being over council and back over there. I said that right out loud to be on the radio. Thank you.
CEO.
Ooh,
You
he's
are
been
up.
busy.
You got a big one.
It's like, it's like.
Tell it.
I mean, that's.
Yeah, I think I can get to.
Just, that always comes to me at the last minute, but I'm
Just-
just here to pick this up. I was supposed to think.
Go to
A couple of things that we're working on just now. A couple of the zoning dates might change just because we're waiting for legal review. So just kind of keep that in there for that group just now. We're kind of working our way towards the end of this process, which is difficult, but we also just want to make sure that council are aware of that. The Lillooet are working our way through just now the HGTV applications. We've been talking to some of the staff on that, and we will be coming around a couple of people soon to maybe put them on a video. That's all I'm saying. It's very seated. We've got a couple of things that we're working our way on with staff, a couple of the normal stuff that you would expect to see this time of year. The utilization of public works stuff, so irrigation and things like that. And then we're also working our way through getting our trucks and stuff ready for the winter season. Here was just a couple of the pictures from UBCM, just purely because we just kind of want the public to kind of see what was happening when we were there and what we're working on. This is a facilitation meeting with Josie Osborne, which is fantastic. And then the other stuff that we're working on just now, obviously, is the clean out of some of our large million gallon reservoirs. There's a couple of leaks in town that we're just kind of working our way through. We had one at the back of the Lillooet Friendship Centre. We also had one over at the old schoolhouse building that required a little bit of archaeology work, kind of reclamation work to be done at the time with. We are also working our way through the archaeology branch just now and the Heritage Conservation Act review. So we're working very, very actively with the Heritage branch, and we're also working alongside our own group of people that we're working with for archaeology in town, which I think is going fantastic. We have our usual water updates, and then we've also got a bit of a fire update. We play the fire one just now. There's two quick videos, and I want to just show council these two videos if I can.
We're gonna be quick.
That's just time lapse.
On a loop, so. Okay, you wanna watch it again or no? No, I.
So the fire department actually did the video. It was our own fire department that did a video just on their own time. Usually videos will see anywhere between 100 to 200 likes, a couple of views, sometimes that's what you get. Two separate locations, one got 1,800, the other one got just over 3,000, which is phenomenal. It's a lot of recognition in that and a lot of really good training. So again, we talk about these things, but it's also just to kind of get the recognition. We also got 2 new members out of that because we're now reaching out to other people. So 2 new members have kind of given off boards and taken a look at that.
True or not yet?
The other videos, there's a couple of videos running around just now, which I'm taking no part of it. Not yet. But it's coming.
I find it, it's the.
Yeah, this is the new one. So this is the new refrigeration unit that we're getting. There's a lot of engagement getting done just now, and there's a lot of great things getting done just now from the rec centre. Let them be fun, let them have their fun. I'm not involved in it, and I'm not going to censor it because I think they're doing great. The one that was below that was to do with
The
two
first.
little words.
Oh, that was
Oh, yeah,
awesome.
that was funny.
So there's a relevance to a lot of this stuff, which is fantastic. I don't know how long I'm doing it. Again, it received over 10,000 views, so 10,000 views.
That's
There's just a relevance to this, and the relevance is this is about the culture that we're bringing in here for the rec centre. Now, from when I came on board to where it is now, and it's completely up to Paolo and Mike and Andrea and Brittany and the rest of the gang that are doing this kind of stuff. They're doing all this stuff. And they're doing a phenomenal job at it. Membership jumped up, I think it was like 3% in the time that video went live to the next week. So the membership for the gym actually started to progress and jump up. So although it seems fun and jovial and lighthearted and it's good, and the comments that are on it are always good and they're always fun, there is a point to it. And that point is that they just get let to do their thing. They may start involving more and more people as well. So be aware that may be coming to you guys sooner than you think.
We were
Eh,
from this.
Yeah, you may be getting reached out to. So, and I think that just again links in with a lot of the other stuff that we're kind of doing here just now, you know, swims is increasing, hockey's increasing, the training's increasing, soccer's increasing, all of these other kind of interaction things are just, you know, it's all heading in the right direction. It's where we want to be seen. These are all very good indicators that municipalities are looking at. A lot of rec centres are not seeing that. We are, which is fantastic. So you should be pleased with that. It's really important. And just above that, I think I had, this is the recognition report stuff. This is the Swedish Armed Forces, but actually the winners. The photography for that event is absolutely spectacular. There was a Swedish team that won that, so congratulations to them. We are still working alongside the Adventure Race team. They're coming back next week, I believe. Just because they're going to do a bit of a debrief with that, so they may come to council, just to kind of say thanks for the help and support we gave them, the chamber gave them, and the community showed them as well. So we made a massive impression on that group, so much so that the group's actually coming back here to kind of thank us personally. They're not doing that with every community, but they're doing that with us. So very, very happy. Again, kind of like the Nissan commercial, we couldn't talk about it beforehand, but these are things that we're working on and working towards. It's the same type of idea with this HGTV idea. So we put out a quick survey to the public. What do you guys think? Do you think it's a good idea? Remarkably, 2 people said it was a bad idea, which I don't understand how it's a bad idea, but 2 people think it's a bad idea. But it was over 100 odd people that thought it was fantastic. It gave us a lot of things to work with. If that is something that we get chosen for, it's something that we want to expand out to our First Nations partners as well, specifically, because the amount of work that is done in one community, it tends to want to get spread out a little bit, and it will be getting spread out throughout this area and this region. We are not just below it, we separate that out, and I think that kind of joint application or idea is something that we can all kind of get behind, but I'll let council know how that kind of progresses as much as I possibly can, but we're having positive conversations behind the scenes and we'll see where it goes to. Other than that, we have the fireworks donations, we have the Halloween party coming on, rec centre is quite busy, and yeah, staff are getting up for winter and getting ready for stuff, so things are going well. That's your report.
Good report. Good staff. A great staff. The meeting is now open to questions from the public. Any questions from the public?
Had one, did I miss the mule deer?
No, you did not at all. He canceled because of the HEABC strike or, yeah, they're on strike, so they're going to reschedule, yes.
Okay.
But if you have any ideas, bring them next time.
Okay, well, I would just ask then that maybe, I mean, I don't know who is delegated from your team to come and talk with the Statly and Chiefs Council. Right now, just myself, just kind of about the land issues that I've seen. And there's some of the heritage issues, some of the water issues, some of the things like the Nissan commercial, just so we have that conversation. Right, I think we just may be able to provide feedback options, probably a better storyline even to some of these things, but yeah, it was coming for one thing and it was, that didn't happen.
Yeah, it was short notice. We didn't realize we did. I
Okay.
think they just canceled today. So
Okay,
we didn't have time to. put-
well, I'll look out for that, yeah, because we want to be part of that conversation. Also see BC Hydro. You guys are talking to them. I think we probably have a lot to offer to that conversation since we've been talking to them for 30 years.
Yeah,
Been having any luck.
Well, no, but in ways we have,
yeah.
right? And so I think we're having the same conversation and they're not admitting that we're having the same conversation, right? So,
So is it BC Hydro and the HGTV and?
yeah, because I could, you know, if you want to work with the communities within the
We do.
stallion, you know, then it'd just be good to see how that could work.
Yeah, and that's what I think our CAO was exactly saying, that
Yeah.
if we are a chosen community, how are we gonna put that out and how are we gonna work together? Because it's important that we do.
Yeah, the Heritage Branch, you know, they're just there. They don't really have any capacity
Right, and
to
then,
do anything. So I think it's how do you keep the information, the data within Statland? So then that's who you're going to when work is gonna be happening, because, even when they brought up Bill 14 and 15, and I got back to them and said, yeah, but we need to talk about aging infrastructure. They're talking about new investment, infrastructure. That's when you gotta do assessments, but there's nothing on aging infrastructure, which is BC Hydro, the District of Lillooet, Ministry of Transportation. It's everything that's going on right here.
Right.
This area was built built thousands of years ago. But newer build, like really in the 30s and 40s, and to me, that's aging infrastructure, which you're gonna have to replace. And it's gonna cost you everything to do that unless you're actually working with us. So,
yes,
yeah, because we can help you with that, I mean. If it's old, it's gotta be replaced, and everybody wants to go build something shiny and new, and that's not our way to do it. It's look after what's old, keep it up, right? Look after it, not, oh, we're just gonna abandon you and go build something new. Lillooet's not gonna move, right? So how do we work with you knowing you're built on our history? Right, and we want to preserve that. We don't want it leaving the territory.
good, thank you,
Yeah.
Michelle.
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, all right, will somebody please move that the October 21st, 2025 regular council meeting be adjourned? Councillor Weed, Councillor Klein, all in favor? Carried. Okay.